ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the second stop of the BAssmaster Central Opens at Sam Rayburn. Second week of September. Let's go with that. Didn't cut a check. Should have cut a check, maybe, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Just want to give you a little rundown of what I did in the tournament. Anyways, let's just get right into it. Too much stuff to talk about. Got there, started practicing. Right before we got there, like 2 weeks before, a week and a half before, big hurricane come through. I can't think of the name of it right now. Came up through Louisiana-Texas border, went across Toledo Bend, and the Corps of Engineers or somebody at Sam Rayburn dropped the lake like 3 feet from where it was at that before the hurricane got there, because they thought they were going to get a bunch of rain and they didn't want to have a bunch of flooding. Well, come to find out, they only got like maybe a quarter of an inch of rain. So obviously the water didn't come up. So we get there, the water's low, the whole lake's low. There's not a whole lot of cover in the water, blah, blah, blah. Not good for a bank fisherman like myself. And going into Sam Rayburn in, you know, a hot summertime, late summer, early fall deal, you know they're probably going to be deep anyway. Spent 2 days of practice graphing brush, and after the first day of practice, I graphed a bunch of brush, and then the second day, I fished a lot of it, and I couldn't get bit. I'd throw a big worm, I'd throw a big jig, throw a drop shot. You could catch a couple small spotted bass on a drop shot, but it just wasn't any good. When I figured that out, my instincts, I just go to the bank and start trying to figure out how to grind and be able to just get a few bites. And I ended up being able to do that. I ended up swimming a jig around some hay grass, which is just flooded grass on the bank that still had a little bit of water on it with the water being down. I did that like a half a day of practice, and I thought I could catch 11 to 12 pounds just with the average size fish I was catching. I thought if I got a lucky big bite that I had 14 or 15, and I was thinking 12 a day was going to get paid, which I missed that by a lot. I mean, the guys in the Opens are just that good. I mean, if they live there, they're gonna catch them. I mean, it's kind of like fishing the Elite Series. If the bass are in the lake, it's gonna take this to get paid about every time, just because they live there and them guys are gonna catch them. But like I said, I ended up swimming a jig. Just like a confidence deal for me. It was a little bit too thick. The stuff I was fishing was a little bit too thick to throw like a buzz bait. I think I caught a few fish on just a regular horny toad, just with a 5/0 hook. Just throw it out there and reel it through the scattered grass. But when I got to the little bit thicker stuff, I would swim the jig around it. And I basically just kind of kept it in my hand both days. Got some decent bites the first day, and then the second day I kind of fell off. But the main setup with the jig, or the swim jig, was the Lew's Pro TI 7.5-to-1. That's a perfect gear ratio to get that jig back. You know, when you're fishing it in real shallow water, you're working it, doing a lot of stuff with it. It keeps you from wearing yourself out. The rod I was using was a 7.6 medium heavy arc reinforcer. You know, I hear a lot about, I swim a jig on a 7-foot, a 7.1, a 7.3. I don't swim it on anything shorter than a 7.4. Because I like keeping my rod up. I like keeping the jig up in the water column. If you're swimming a jig lower in the water column, I could understand it. But when you have to keep that jig up, it just makes more sense to me to have more leverage up to keep you from having to hold your arms up or reel the jig faster. It just allows you to not kill yourself throughout the day when you have a longer rod. And with these art rods, even the Invoker Pro, the Lancer Pro, all those, they're so lightweight that you can have that 7.5, 7.6 rod and it still not be too heavy. So that's just my thought process on all of that. That's how I do it. The line I was throwing 50 pound Sunline SX1 braid. It's kind of just a good all-around swim jig line. Swim jig was a 5/16 dirty jigs, no jack. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. That's my staple when it comes to swim jig. I threw a couple different colors. Just a natural brim looking color was really the best. The trailer was a Zoom Ultraviolent Speed Crawl for the most part. I swapped that up a little bit too, just trying to see if it made a difference, and I really don't think it made a difference. Just if that fish was up there on the bank, he was up there to eat. So you just had to cover a bunch of water to finally find one that wanted to bite, basically. But that was my setup. That's really how I weighed in all my fish. I think we finished I don't even know, in the 50s again. I've become the 50th in the 50s guy this year. So I've had a lot of people ask, and I've made a couple posts on Instagram about a situation that happened the first day of the tournament. So it's about 10:30, 11 o'clock. I've got a 3 3/4, a 3, and some 2. So I've got a decent, a little bit better than I thought I would be doing. Around 10:30, I catch like a 4.5, a 4 3/4, a dang good one. Probably the biggest bite I've had on the bank since I've been there. You know, you put it in live well and cold, and everything's great and wonderful. I'm thinking I've got 16, maybe 15 3/4, 16 pounds, which I'm like, I'm sitting, you know, I'll be sitting good. I'll catch me 12 or 13 tomorrow, and I can get a check for sure. Well, the day goes on a little bit. I have a late day this day, and it gets to about 3 o'clock, and my bank bites kind of died a little bit. I had a bite in an hour or two, so I go, or 3 hours probably, I go start running a couple of my brush piles. And I throw a drop shot out there, and I catch a 2, I believe it was a 2 1/4, and I had a 180 in there, a 2, and like a 210. So I was going to replace a 180 with or a 185 something, a 185 with a 2 1/4. So I mean, obviously it's going to bump your weight up. Need to call that. Well, I get my 180 out, my two pounder, and a 210, and I'm checking them just to make sure my scales, everything's good. And for some reason, I've got 2 of them in my hand, and I go back to the live well I'm gonna grab the other one, and I've got the 2 fish in my left hand, and I open the lid up with my right hand, and the biggest fish I've got, the 4.5, 4 3/4, 5 pounder, literally hits the hole perfect with my hand on the lid, and my other hand having the whole 2 fish in my hand, hits the hole perfect, never hits the carpet. Comes out, hits the deck of the gunnel of the boat. Don't even hit the carpet. Hits the fiberglass of the boat and goes in the water. So I went from having 16 1/4 pounds to 13 in 2 seconds. I've never had that happen. I've never seen it happen. I don't know. It's just a freak thing. Kind of sucks because all year I've been plagued with losing fish, losing a good fish that was going to cost me some money, and I finally catch the fish, finally catch a good one. It don't come off, and he still gets away. But I mean, you live and you learn. I know from now on I will have pool noodles cut in my live wells. For one, to keep the fish from beating themselves up on top of the live well lid when you're running. I mean, I need them in there anyway for that reason. But also, it's going to keep those fish from, when you open the lid, being able to just shoot straight out. It's really just a bad situation. I think I would have been real close to 40th place with that fish. On day 2, I had 11.7, and it took 27 1/4 to get paid. Which if I would have had 16, it would have been. I mean, it would have been right there, really close, depending on a couple of ounces, probably. But you know, I say it's my mistake, but it's kind of just a freak accident. It's not like I was culling, like I had the fish out and I just left the live well lid open and turned my back and was doing something and not paying attention. I mean, it literally, I had the lid in my hand and it hit the hole that quick. And I mean, it just, you know, it's just a crazy freak thing. Cost us some money, but at least it wasn't in an Elite Series tournament, but I don't like to look at it that way. But there's the story. A couple people already knew about it. Kind of makes me feel stupid, but it is what it is. Next up, it's Wednesday before we leave for the Gunnersville tournament, the Gunnersville Elite Series tournament. We're going to have 4 in a row. We're going to have Gunnersville, Santee Cooper, Chickamauga, and then Neely Henry Open. So we'll have 4 tournaments in a row. So we're probably not going to get many videos out as far as tournament recaps during those 4 weeks. But once we get back home and can settle down, we can put them all together and get them out there for you guys to see. You know, if there's anything new you guys want me to do as far as the video stuff, any information you guys want to know that I'm not giving out, just put a comment down below. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll read all the comments if y'all guys want to see something new or something like that. But college football starts this weekend. Roll Tide. Had to give a little college football shout out right there. But again, I appreciate you guys watching. We've got 4 tournaments to turn around in the Elite Series, see if we can get into the Classic. So you guys stay tuned with us. We appreciate it, and see you guys next time.